Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Canellis from Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week on First and North, let's bring up the crew. The voice of the Lions from Fox 2 in Detroit, Dan Miller. From Fox 6 in Milwaukee, Tim Van Voren. From Fox 9 in Minneapolis, Ahmad Hicks. Hi, gents. Good to see everyone. Dan, welcome back. Let's take a look at the NFC North standings going into Week 9 of the NFL season. Packers on a roll. They've won 3 straight. Lions coming off the bye, half a game back. Bears had their 4-game win streak snapped at Baltimore. Vikings blown out in L.A. They've lost 2 in a row, and their starting quarterback. Let's start with Ahmad in Minnesota. All right, Carson Wentz, season-ending shoulder surgery for Wentz. If you watched last Thursday's loss to the Chargers, Ahmad, man, you saw a grown man practically crying in pain. Why did Kevin O'Connell and that medical staff allow Wentz to keep playing?
You know, that's kind of the question everyone in Minnesota has here this week. He went on a radio show earlier today and basically said that Carson Wentz lobbied to play. And he said, when you're a quarterback and you basically say, I can play, I want to stay in the game, head coach Kevin O'Connell said you kind of honor that. But I disagree. I mean, you all saw those pictures. You saw him grimacing after every throw, every time he was hit. And the big story is Kevin O'Connell basically has come out and said that we're not playing J.J. McCarthy until he's 100% healthy. Yet you throw out Carson Wentz knowing he's not even 50% healthy and needed shoulder surgery and whatnot. They said he didn't need it before that game, and they didn't cross any medical lines. But apparently the very next day, he decided that he needed to undergo surgery. So we haven't gotten a chance to talk to Coach O'Connell yet about that, but we're going to talk to him tomorrow after this decision came out, because none of us understand how you played an unhealthy Carson Wentz, yet you're protecting J.J. McCarthy when you also had an able-bodied quarterback in Max Brosmer who looked somewhat decent in the preseason, granted against backups, but it's like, what are you doing? Why are you trotting out a guy who can barely move? So we're going to put him on the hot seat tomorrow for sure.
Ahmad, he suffered the original injury back in Week 4 in London, was playing through the injury against the Browns, Eagles, and Chargers. It sounds like you agree this was not the right thing to do. Whether he wanted to be out there or not, as a head coach, just like any other player that maybe has concussion symptoms, you don't put him back out there on the field. In this case, you don't put Carson Wentz back out there on the field.
Yeah, you're supposed to protect the players from themselves. I mean, J.J. McCarthy came out and said 2 weeks ago he was ready to play. He wanted to play, but he was leaving it up to head coach Kevin O'Connell. And basically, Kevin O'Connell said they're going to protect their young quarterback and make sure he's 100% before he goes out on the field. So it seems like he's losing a little bit of confidence inside that locker room. Guys don't know who should play quarterback, because when I spoke with people inside that locker room, they lobbied for Carson Wentz. They wanted to continue playing the hot hand, but it obviously didn't work. They went out there and lost the next 2 weeks. So J.J. McCarthy said he's ready to go, but I think that ultimately Kevin O'Connell failed Carson Wentz to protect him. Obviously, he's a competitor. He hasn't started meaningful games in a very long time, and he wanted to go out there and play, but you got to protect this guy. And if he needs shoulder surgery the next day, or comes out and says the following day after a game, hey, I need to go have surgery, that meant he probably shouldn't have been out there and took the beating that he took for 3.5 quarters. So Kevin O'Connell certainly is drawing a lot of criticism in Minnesota right now, rightfully so.
All right, Ahmad, we're going to talk more about the way Kevin O'Connell and the medical staff for the Vikings have been handling injuries, not only with Carson Wentz, but other players coming up in a little bit. I want to bring in Tim Van Voren. Hey, Tim, Jordan Love completed 20 straight passes on Sunday night, making sure Packers fans forgot about Aaron Rodgers, even though Rodgers was on the other side in that Pittsburgh uniform. Have you ever seen Love look better than he did on Sunday night?
I don't think so. The Packer offense was the thing of beauty in the second half of the 2023 season. They had guys open all over the field, and it was like, oh, my goodness. But in terms of Love himself, I think he played better Sunday night than he ever has before, and he just didn't make any mistakes. Going against the king of the passer rating, right? Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw mistakes, doesn't make interception balls out there, and that's why he's one of the most acclaimed quarterbacks in NFL history. Jordan Love had a perfect passer rating type game. Just move the ball down the field, throw for those touchdowns, don't throw interceptions. He got a little help from his wide receiver, certainly Tucker Kraft, readjusting on one ball that was kind of thrown up there. But give your players the opportunity to make that sort of play. It was such a hype game about the quarterback matchup. Jordan Love won it.
I'll tell you what, our producer, Roger Blanco, threw a number at me. Love has 14 touchdown passes 0 interceptions in 5 career starts on Sunday night games. There are some of the other numbers from Jordan Love. His teammates with glowing reviews on his performance, including Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I thought J-Love played great, and he was super efficient. You know, he didn't get sacked, moved around really well, made some plays outside the pocket. Thought he played outstanding.
He's him. He's him. Everybody in the league, if y'all not whoop, please wake up, get the crust out your eyes, because he is him, and 10 is coming.
The legacy that he left, I would say Jordan's filling those shoes. When you're talking about the Favre to Rodgers to Love, you know, Jordan has stepped up and fulfilled his end of the bargain. The thing about the NFL is with the next week you're expecting to see more. We have to continue to push the envelope with being as explosive as we can as an offense, and that all starts with 10.
Hey, man, Kraft had a great game as well. Speaking of quarterbacks, Caleb Williams wasn't anywhere near as good as Jordan Love, but hey, Williams wasn't the reason why the Bears lost to the Ravens, wasn't the reason why they were in a position to win the game either, but he wasn't the reason they lost. Bears are the second most penalized team in football right now, guys. 36 players responsible for 72 flags, over 9 a game. Penalties and red zone execution are big issues for this team right now. Big issues in Baltimore. Flags constantly stalling offensive drives. And Ben Johnson is putting his team on notice.
Give Baltimore a lot of credit. You know, they came out and they played a physical brand of football just like you would expect. You know, they were hungry, they were determined, and truth be told, I expected a little bit more out of our squad to counter that. You know, I really put it on the leaders there in that locker room to get this ship going the right direction in that regard. Us coaches, we've been pounding that drum now for a while, and we haven't gotten the results we wanted. So it's on the leaders here on this team to get us right.
Yeah, Johnson this week here in Chicago taking some heat for that comment after the game, saying the coaches had done all they could to curtail the flags, and now it's up to his players, his leaders, to take over and get the penalties to stop. As I said, Bears averaging 9 penalties a game, league average 7 flags a game for the 32 teams. And man, the Bears need to just clean it up. They also need to be better in the red zone. As a touchdown, they scored on only 1 touchdown in 3 trips to the red zone at Baltimore. Their first 2 drives against Baltimore ended up resulting in field goals and a 6-0 lead. Hey, man, it might be a different game if they score touchdowns or even 1 touchdown there, and they're ahead 10-0 or 14-zip on a quarterback like Tyler Huntley, who's a third stringer. I'm going to give you my thoughts on Caleb Williams coming up in the next segment. Dan, let me bring you in. Did you spend the bye week watching football? Tell me no.
I watched a little bit of football, to be sure, but I also went south and got in some sun and some suds, if you will. So it was nice to be away for a week. I was talking to Dan Campbell about this. It kind of cuts both ways. You're really happy to be away, but then when you get back, you're really happy to get going again as well. So I think it serves everybody well. I think it gives the coaches and players a break and a chance to look at what they've done and what they hope to be doing. And then it gives everybody just a chance to kind of throttle down a little bit and find some little bit of peace before you get in and for the last 10 games of the season, because this thing's going to go from here.
Hey, you deserve the break as well as voice of the Lions, along with being the main guy at Fox 2 in Detroit. Dan Campbell said yesterday, I really believe we haven't played our best football yet, collectively, in all 3 phases. He really thinks the Lions can be even better than their 5-2 record right now, right?
Yeah, and a lot of that, I think, is the offense, which has been really good at times. And then I think they would tell you in their last 2 outings, they were not particularly happy with the way they played against Kansas City and then the way they came back and played against Tampa Bay, even though they won that game. I think they feel like there's more out there. And he did say he spent most of his time during the bye working on that offense. Look, defensively, they've been good against the run. They are good against the run. They're better against the pass. They're better at getting the quarterback on the ground. They're better at taking the football away. Offensively, while they led the league in scoring through 5 weeks this season, I just think they feel like they can get Jamison Williams more involved, spread the ball out a little bit more, get David Montgomery going a little bit more on offense, a little more consistently. I just think there's a lot of juice left on that offense that they haven't found yet. They're looking for it. I think a lot of teams would look at it and say, oh, that's pretty good. They're still, I think, top 5 in the league in scoring. But this team has a high standard when it comes to what they do with the football.
I get it, top 3 to be exact. Be happy with what you have, okay? We can only take so much in the NFC North. Ahmad, let me bring you back. I waited to ask the question, but it's coming now. J.J. McCarthy, he's starting against the Lions. What's the feeling in Minnesota? Which McCarthy are we going to see? The quarterback who brought the Vikings back against the Bears in the fourth quarter, or the McCarthy who has completed, the number is 55% of his passes in the other 7 quarters of action and owns a quarterback rating in an anemic 36.7. Which are we going to get, Ahmad?
I mean, you hope you're getting the quarterback that played in the fourth quarter versus your Bears, but you honestly just don't know what you're going to get because this guy hasn't played football. You go back, dating back to his rookie season in the preseason, he's literally only played 3.5 games in his NFL career. So that's a small sample size for us to judge. And we all know he didn't have his starting 5 offensive line in those first couple of starts this season. Well, I hate to break it to you, probably won't have all 5 of his guys this weekend, although he will have Jordan Addison. So we just don't know. But the weapons are there. But it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for the Vikings right now if they can't protect him. They spend millions of dollars on their front 5 trying to protect and shore up that line in front of J.J. McCarthy, and it hasn't panned out this year. So while I want to say and be optimistic that I think J.J. McCarthy will be out there and do well, I mean, look what the Lions secondary, the backup secondary, did against Baker Mayfield, they were in talks about an MVP-type candidate this season. I mean, they made him look bad. So if they made him look bad and he has all that NFL experience, I can only imagine what they're going to do to J.J. McCarthy, making his second road start in his NFL career. So I'm just not optimistic right now. I think there's a lot of confidence that's lost inside the Vikings locker room. I know guys after the game told me, oh, it's a college season. We have 10 games left. We can figure it out. But it's like, you haven't beaten Detroit in the last 5 starts that you played against them. So it's kind of hard for me to be optimistic about this team because after last Thursday's game, there's not much to go on. You know what I'm saying? So we hope JJ shows up, but you really don't know yet.
I know what you're saying. Tim, last 45 seconds of this first segment. I'm not surprised if I was more impressed with Jordan Love on Sunday night, Tucker Kraft, or Christian Watson against the Steelers. What about you?
Watson made such a difference in the offense. Tucker Kraft has proven, I think, his body of work that he's a legit top flight NFL tight end. The Packers might as well throw to him as often as they can. The field was stretched with Christian Watson back. Just last Wednesday, I asked Watson, what is the offense going to get if you come back this week? And he said, you're adding me. And you know what? He went on to a longer answer, but that's right. They're adding him and makes a big difference. He stretched the field. The Steelers couldn't keep up with things. Watson was able to get some things going down the field. Kraft was some major yards after the catch on the run, and the Packer offense looked as well, played as well as it has really all season, other than its other Sunday night game, which was against Dallas.
Yeah, keep the Packers off Sunday nights for the rest of us in this division. We need to take a timeout. Aaron Rodgers, he wants to end his career where it started. You'll hear more from Rodgers. And why the Vikings training staff right now, and Ahmad's touched on it, is under fire. All that and more when we return on First and North.
Tonight on Fox.
Before the clock strikes midnight.
Freddie's 18-inning walk-off classic rocked L.A. Now Ohtani and the Dodgers look to move one step closer to a second straight title against Vlad Jr. and the Blue Jays. Game 4 of the World Series tonight on Fox.
We're back on First and North. Luke Canellis with you at our Fox 32 studios in Chicago. Dan Miller is at Fox 2 in Detroit. Tim Van Voren is at Fox 6 in Milwaukee, and Ahmad Hicks, Fox 9 in Minneapolis. All right, guys. Dan, I'm going to start with you. Let's get into some injury business regarding the Lions. Will Terry and Arnold play on Sunday?
Yeah, it looks like TA is going to be good to go. He practiced, actually, before their last game, so there was obviously some optimism that coming out of the bye, he would be ready to go. I think the secondary is going to look better from a health standpoint than it did in that Monday night game, where obviously they were missing pretty much everybody outside of Amik Robertson, because Brian Branch is coming off a suspension. You should get TA back. Don't know about Kirby Joseph yet. The rest of the week will tell the story there. And even if Kirby can't go, it looks like Avonte Maddox is at least moving in the right direction, and he would be the other safety next to Branch. So There's some moving pieces in there, Lou, but the good thing is they're moving in the right direction. And let me add this. Unlike last year, this team is going to get healthier going forward. They anticipate getting DJ Reed back at cornerback. They anticipate getting Marcus Davenport back on the defensive line. Rodriguez is going to be back at linebackers. So whereas last year they were losing guys for good, this year I think one of the things that gives them confidence is they should be getting healthier over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Dan, Reed is still a week away,
that's
right?
That's not what we want to hear.
Yeah, that's not what we want to hear, by the way. Thank you for jumping in.
We all know this stuff can take a turn at any point, but I still think DJ Reed's going to be several weeks. The good news is he was back working with trainers this week, which we hadn't seen outside during practice before. So that's a step in the right direction. But I still think he's several weeks off.
All right, Ahmad, let's get back to the beat-up Vikings, because I read something I thought was very interesting today. Christian Darrisaw admitted on Monday maybe he came back from his torn ACL too early. Was Brian O'Neill rushed back from his sprained MCL? Has Andrew Van Ginkel's neck injury been mishandled? I saw this quote from a source with knowledge of the entire injury situation there in Minneapolis. Quote was, hey, this is more evidence of a bleep show with the training staff this year. So many mismanaged injuries. Ahmad, lots of questions surrounding the Vikings medical team right now, right?
This was a big story a couple of years ago, and that's why they fired one of their head trainers and brought in someone new this season. I mean, I think they mismanaged a couple of injuries here in the past, and there have been some players who've told me off the record that they are sometimes pressured to come back on the field more, a little bit more quicker than when they expected, And so I think Christian Darrisaw, a source told me before the season that he wasn't going to play until maybe the overseas games and maybe come back after that, and he came back before the overseas games. And then they put him on a snap count and said, oh, well, when you don't feel right, then you pull yourself out. I just think that's a terrible way to go about it. If you're not healthy enough to play an entire 4-quarter game and then follow that up and play the next week, you shouldn't be playing the week before. Brian O'Neill, he had a knee injury, rushed back to play against the Eagles, and then he was out the following week, versus the Chargers. So I just think they are in a situation where they're probably pressuring guys to play because they want to win now and they understand what's at stake. But I don't think they're taking care of their players and looking out for them in the long run of things.
All right, I appreciate your passion there with your statement. Aaron Rodgers, he got to meet with the Wisconsin media before the game on Sunday, and it won't be too long until we see Rodgers back in Green Bay.
Regardless of when I hang it up, that's the bulk of my career. I'll retire a Packer and, see what happens after that. But, I got a lot of love for the organization, my time there. They asked me this week, is it a revenge game or whatever. So, I got to be avenging here, paid me a ton of money. I grew up there, spent some of the best years of my life there, and got nothing but love for the organization.
Hey, Tim, time heals all wounds, right?
It kind of does. I mean, it was so raw when Brett Favre left, and we can remember Brett Favre filling the stadium to come back in and wave to the crowd. So I do think there's a thawing there, and Aaron Rodgers will be back in the welcome of the Packer fans when all is said and done. I thought he really took the right tone going into Sunday night's game about appreciation for his years in Green Bay. Wanted the Steelers to win, sure, but that he's had 3 years of reflection here, and it came across in what Rodgers had to say and the way he carried himself. Pre-game, he was out there shaking hands with everybody, support staff, people in particular, because there aren't that many players left who played with him, but so many people in the organization kind of grew up with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it was great video. I saw all of it. All right, I want to get into the Bears. I want to get into Caleb Williams, because guess what, guys? If the Bears are going to make a playoff run this year, and I know that's a stretch, Williams must play better. Third-string quarterbacks like Tyler Huntley can't be outplaying this guy. Ben Johnson said he liked the explosive plays from Williams against Baltimore. Guess what? We need touchdowns, not explosive plays. The offense needs to score touchdowns, not field goals. That Ravens defense, all right, forget about the excuses here. That Ravens defense was giving up a league-high 32 points a game. Even the Texans, with all the issues they have on their offense, posted 44 on Baltimore. Here's the truth. Caleb Williams has been average to below average in every game this season, except for that Dallas game. And I caution fans to get caught up in the highlight plays that we have grown accustomed to seeing from Caleb Williams going back to his days at Oklahoma or USC. He makes the big throws, and he misses the gotta-have-it throw. This Sunday against Cincinnati, no excuses. He's going up again against the worst defense in football. The Bengals defense is last in the league in total yards, last against the run, 30th of 32 teams in the red zone defense, 29th in sacks. They're allowing 32 a game, 32 points a game. Ben Johnson said Williams took a step forward against Baltimore. All right, I want to see the Bears win a game because of Caleb Williams. Guy was the first pick in the draft. He is supposed to be special. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was outplayed last year by Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. And this season, Drake May. And guess what? I don't want to hear the excuse about new head coach, new offensive scheme. May has a new head coach in New England as well. Just like Williams has with the Bears, it's Caleb's time to step up and show everyone, the media, the fans, that he's the Bears franchise quarterback who's going to carry this team on a second-half run. I believe he can do it. Dan, let me wrap up because I got a minute left. Lions are averaging 31 points a game, third best in football. We talked about it earlier. And defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard's done a heck of a job, earned himself a game ball in the last game. Which has impressed you more, the offense or defense?
I think the defense. I think we kind of knew what we were going to get from the offense. But look, this defense, if you look back over the last 3-4 years, they've been 30th, 27th, 30th in terms of passing yards allowed. They've cut that in half, basically. They're now in the top 15. And if you look at their takeaways are way ahead of where they were a year ago. They're sacking the quarterback at a much higher clip than they did a year ago. So, look, I think he's done a great job. Having a healthy Aiden Hutchinson obviously means a lot. And you have players on this defense that are playing at a higher level than they have in the past. That linebacking core that a lot of people don't talk about, Jack Campbell, is just wrecking people right now and playing some terrific football. So I think there's all sorts of good stories with this team right now. But if you're asking me which has impressed me the most, I think it's that defense. And it needed to step up in certain places, and it has.
Hutchinson, best player in the NFL on defense right now?
I don't know if he's the best. I mean, Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. But Aiden Hutchinson, you can see what he means to this team when he's out there. He is one of those guys that plays on the edge like a Parsons, like a Watt, like a Garrett, that can change a game in one snap. There's not many of them out there. The Lions are thrilled that they have one, and to have him back means everything. And let me just say this. Getting Aleem McNeil back last Monday night, you saw what he meant to the middle of that defensive line as well and how he lifted everybody else up. I think Aiden is in the company of the best players in this league at that position, but there's some really, really good ones out there.
We preview Week 9 next here on First and North.
Sunday on Fox. Justin Jefferson leads the Vikings in an NFC North showdown against Jared Goff and the Lions.
Touchdown!
It's a huge day of football. Sunday on Fox. Check for the game in your area.
Matchups for Week 9, NFC North. Bears headed to Ohio to take on another AFC North opponent. Second straight week. J.J. McCarthy makes his return to Michigan. Take on the Lions on Fox. We are carrying the game on Fox 32 Chicago at noon. Then the Packers. They return home, look to make it 3 in a row. They'll host Carolina. Bryce Young inactive against the Bills. Tim Van Voorn of the Packers worried about Carolina.
The Packers kind of play down to the level of their competition most times out. They haven't had too many easy games. On paper, this looks like it could be an easy game, whether it's Bryce Young or Andy Dalton, and the Packers could use one of those.
No way, Dan Campbell allows his guys to lose this game on Sunday to the Vikings, right?
Well, they're going to have to earn it. Look, they've got a winning streak, as Ahmad talked about, against the Vikings right now, but it feels like every one of those games has taken you right down to the end. I anticipate this will be the same. Addison and Jefferson always get your respect.
Ahmad, any shot?
I hope so, because those locker rooms are tough, and we have an hour-and-a-half post-game show after that.
I know what you mean. Guys, great work. As always, good to see Dan and Tim back. For Dan, Tim, and Ahmad, I'm Luke Cadellis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on First and North.